the doubt, right? That the so-called doubt that they have put into everyone's minds, or many people's minds, about climate crisis for decades now. 100 million refugees worldwide now.
You are just a bucket of laughs.
You told me I had good news. I just had good news. Done with good news over.
One and done. Just no more good news for you.
Good news full up on good news. No more good news. What do you think this is? Sesame Street?
God, I should have brought a G&T instead of water.
The refugee population has hit a record of 110 million people who have been driven from their homes due largely to violent conflicts and climate-related disasters, with the numbers showing the crisis is rapidly intensifying with each passing year, according to the United Nations Refugee Agency's annual report. At the end of 2022, more than 108 million people were living as refugees, up nearly 20 million from the previous year. Conflict in Sudan has pushed millions more people out of their homes this year, bringing the mid-year total to 110 million. More than 32 million people have also been displaced by disasters, including those caused by the climate crisis, and 21% of those refugees have left their home in the world's least developed countries and small island nations. And, you could never really calculate it, but the amount of these forcibly displaced people that the U.S. is either directly responsible for or partially responsible for is a huge percentage, because you've got climate crisis, which the U.S. is the most main driver, the biggest emitter, per capita, a massive emitter, and also we've led the charge to cover up that climate crisis is actually happening. Our big oil companies are the ones who have led the doubt, right? That the so-called doubt that they have put into everyone's minds, or many people's minds, about climate crisis for decades now. So there's many ways the U.S. has led to creating climate crisis. But then also many of these, and then of course there's the nations where the U.S. has literally just obliterated them, or bombed them, or harmed them, or economic war, or whatever, causing people to flee, causing people to become displaced. And so there's always like Libya and Syria, etc. But then there's also many of these places where the climate crisis has then caused strife or conflict. There's lack of water, there's lack of food. That then sparks off conflict that, technically the U.S. might not be involved in, but we're involved, so.
Well, yeah, and as the richest country in the world, we're involved by not being involved. It would cost less than Elon Musk paid for fucking Twitter to solve world hunger. That's
a good point.
So, I mean, this is, there's no such thing as an innocent empire, right? Even in conflicts that are driven by climate change, or that we're not directly involved, or even proxy war involved, or sanctions involved, which we have sanctions against 1/3 of the countries in the fucking world. So, I mean, even in shit that we're not that directly involved in, it is on the plate of U.S. empire, because we could easily address it as the richest nation in the world. So yeah, it's inexcusable, and it is absolutely, it is due to the imperialism of the United States and our allies, and it is only something that can be solved with the continued dismantling of U.S. empire.
Well said. And a lot of these people get overlooked because they're displaced within their own country. And so they're not showing up on the beaches of Britain or ending up in a capsized boat off Greece, but they're still displaced. They're still homeless, and it's still a lot the fault of the U.S. So they need to be talked about, and we need to continue to discuss these reports and what's going on.